Hi there, that's right, the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? Now this is one of those few videos in which I've had to do many different takes to make sure I was going to communicate my message to you in a way which was actually going to be okay. Because the subject I wish to discuss or point to is of course something which is quite, red hot, especially here on YouTube, which is of course the theist versus atheist debate. And I was trying to think carefully about what it is that this debate is really about. I personally came to the conclusion that this is about social engineering, and the fact that we've got many different tribes or groups of people who are essentially fighting each other to try and create the future, the human future of their dreams. I was thinking about what is the main drive from the atheist community and what is the main drive from, let's say, the theist community. And from the atheist community, that's essentially mainly about making sure there's more science in the mainstream. There's more people thinking about scientific ideas, and education being much more geared towards basically facts rather than necessarily religious ideas. And from the point of view of the religious groups, to say the theistic groups, they've already got an idea, or they think they've already got an idea as to what kind of social structure they already want based upon history, and of course based upon their theologies and texts. But both groups want to do the same thing, essentially. What they want to do is to try and improve society in one manner or another. When you've got a subject which is quite this powerful, can there ever be some kind of middle ground? And I have to argue, yes, there is. Now, I've done a quick search on the internet, and I've come across the beginning portion of a particular book, which is called How God Changes Your Brain. And I think it's a fascinating introduction. I'm going to actually buy the full copy and go through it, maybe even go through a few of the references, make sure the information is appropriate and factual and all the rest of that, and it's not based upon straw man arguments. And then I'll probably go through some of the ideas bit by bit so that we can try and break things down just a bit further. But the general premise there, this is not by some religious individual. This is by Andrew Newberg, MD. Alright, this is about someone who has studied the brain in great detail, and the book appears to be a combination of, or the culmination of about 15 years worth of research into the subject, and even including laboratory research. Okay. The findings of the book seem to suggest that there is a very positive social benefit to spirituality and to religious exercises, even if the religious beliefs are taken out. And this got me thinking, okay, if we have a situation which we have in the here and now, namely there are even atheist movements that are creating social negatives. Alright, they're going out there, they're proselytizing, they're being aggressive, they're doing things such as requesting that certain religious monuments are actually taken down. They're causing a great deal of upset, and yes, there is fanaticism and fundamentalism coming from the atheist community. Why not think about a different variety of future in which, number one, there's much more in the way of scientific education in the mainstream and through the educational system, and secondly, that there is a more of a liberalization within the religious communities, so that they can understand more about precisely why they're doing their forms of religious exercises and the benefits they're supposed to be getting, up here, rather than just in terms of what the book says, for instance. If religion was to be taken away from society completely, and if we think about the message which was contained in that particular bit of text, which I'll link in the information section, it would appear that it would actually create a great social negative, not a social positive, because there will be an impact upon the human mind and upon human behaviors. I will therefore suggest a possible human future in which we as human individuals are actually encouraged to do religious exercises and contemplate certain subjects and perform, let's say, meditation exercises, but also to be well educated and well versed in science. Obviously, I'm interested in what you've got to say. So video responses are welcome. Information in, leave your comments in the comment section, and it's interesting to see your point of view. I personally do not empathise with the hard atheist perspective. I actually think that's wrong. And the information in the link which I'm providing should give you a bit more elaboration as to potentially why that could be. But I'm also not in favour of fundamentalism and dogmatism, which has been coming out from certain extremes within the religious communities as well. Alright, so there is a halfway house. Maybe this particular era, namely the start of the 21st century, is when we can actually start to create a new form of religious future in which we're actually enabled or allowed or given like the strength, so to speak, to find that middle ground, to be able to live in it, as well as to educate ourselves with the passage of time, and to steadily do away with dogma. I think that will be a future that will be worth working for, and a future that will be worth fighting for.